Is it a good thing or a bad thing to use ad hominem attacks against your political enemies? This is something that we debate on today's episode.
I just have to say it. You know it, you feel it. These guys are creepy and, yes, just weird as hell. That's what you see. That's what you see.
So one of the ways that Walz defended it in the following weeks when people asked him questions, and I actually agree with what he said, is that I'm not talking about Republican voters in general. I'm talking about these two candidates, Trump and Vance, who have some very weird and creepy preoccupations in terms of what they're talking about with regard to policy. And those have to do with women's reproductive freedoms. Those have to do with interfering in the lives of couples who are trying to get pregnant using IVF. Those have to do with a lot of strange ideas about what it means to be someone who chooses not to have kids, and about what the role is of postmenopausal women in a sort of Christian society, being super preoccupied with the tiny percent of the population that's transgender as if they are an existential threat to democracy and human family values. This is all creepy and weird. And one of the things it does is it deflates the image of the Republican candidates as these big, scary, powerful opponents and kind of puts them in their place. There's something very satisfying about that, but there's something else that happens, which is that it shifts the narrative, it shifts the momentum, and it does what a lot in the legacy media are referring to as bring joy back to politics on the Democrat side. Because now, instead of constantly worrying and being paranoid and painting this big, scary picture of the right, and of course they still are scary and dangerous, and if they get in, we're in a lot of trouble. But instead of doing that, there's this reclamation of American family values, of human decency, of patriotism, of freedom, through a very common sense, middle American kind of lexicon. The way that Tim Walz talks about what are really social justice concerns in language that middle America finds palatable and easy to access is just so much more effective than what we've had over the last 10 years in terms of the social justice left. I'm sorry that I have to say this, kind of shooting itself in the foot by being very scolding, by being very focused on complex intellectual, ideological positions and posturing, by telling people who don't self-identify as being racist or as hating trans people that they are in fact white supremacists and transphobes, and we, like Ivy League educated young white people, are going to come and explain to you why and tell you what the deep inner work is that you need to do in order to overcome this so that you stop being basically secret Nazis. That has not worked. And yeah, I know that's not all social justice activists, but that has been something that has driven, by all accounts, the anti-woke movement that has taken the country further to the right. It's taken a lot of centrists further to the right. So that's my position on all of this. You can debate and disagree in the comments below if you want to. Check out the episode. I think you'll find it interesting. But here's one thing that I do think was a misstep from Tim Walz, and I doubt that he will do it again.
And I got to tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy. That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there?
And the reason why I think it's a misstep is that it is repeating something that is online misinformation deliberately fabricated to shame J.D. Vance using a story that is absolutely not true. That's not a good road to go down. I doubt Tim Walz will reference it ever again. But overall, I think the approach he's taken has been energizing and exactly what Democrat politics has needed for quite some time now.